What's up, boy?
What's up, boy? Singular.
What's up, boy? How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm good.
Um, you had a big haul this weekend, right? Like
Dude,
awesome.
I am sitting in front of, besides the stuff that I got in the mail from eBay, the stuff that I got from the last 2 weekends, my
Yeah,
desk is filled with mail call.
but you had like killer goal for this year type haul at this card show, right?
I did. I did.
I
You know
mean,
what
I
else is cool? I haven't even told you guys about this. There was a guy selling from Australia a complete blue Star Wars set that I got for $200.
whoa.
And the Luke is amazing. I saw a guy at that show in Philly Oaks. Guy was selling a graded 2 for $300 and a graded 4 for $800.
Wait, what is this? This is a okay.
And the Luke is gorgeous. I mean, you can kind of see it's pretty square all around. It's a little high, but
Yeah,
I mean, not much high.
yeah.
The borders are pretty even all around, so I would say like maybe it's a 7 or an 8. But for the Luke card, a 7 is pretty good.
I saw a goldenrod at a flea market again this weekend for $20.
Yeah.
The corners were okay, but I would say the centering was like 95.5.
But for $20,
Yeah.
oh, you should have bought it, dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they're just
It
cool to
was
have for $20. They're just great to have.
it was just so hilarious. Like
Yeah, I
the like
know.
that the centering is that bad, you
But
know?
they're so rare that
Yeah.
it's just cool. Like you should have got it for $20.
Yeah, I have a feeling it'd still be there if I went next
Yeah,
weekend.
is that
Yeah.
the place that you frequent and you and Jimmy went to, the one with the mask?
The one we went to, yep. So I wouldn't say a frequent there, but because it is like an hour and 10 minutes away. But I go there often, probably
Yeah,
at least 6 times a year,
yeah. That Beastman mask was cool. It's really
Yeah, and
cool.
the box was really nice too.
Those
Uh,
things they don't go for that much because I
right.
remember I was at Jake's with Jimmy
Yeah.
and Bob. I was there with Bob that same
Yeah.
day, and I bought a Wonder Woman complete in the box for $35. It wasn't much. Like it was pretty cheap.
Yeah, it really seems to be like subject matter and then rarity for those. Like,
I
so
guess.
like the condition is obviously important too, but subject matter and rarity are
Yeah.
one too. I just think it's cool when you see
What's up,
something like
Crumbs?
the Beast Man because the color is so vibrant and then the
Yeah.
box color is so
Did it have
vibrant.
fur on it? Like, or
Um,
no? It did. It looked
I
like
don't
it
think
did.
so. I
No,
think
it
it I
didn't.
think it was just a mold, yeah.
I mean, besides the masks, I think the aprons are more delicate than the masks are.
Probably. Yeah,
They're
we actually
so
saw several loose masks, not a Beast Man, but several
yeah,
loose additional loose masks there.
yeah.
So I have it right here. Your collecting goals for 2024 were 1940 Superman comics.
Not a single one.
Uh,
Not nobody even had one single
uh,
card.
complete red Batman 66 and blue set.
Missing one.
Well, that's obviously a big come
So
up from this.
on the red. I'm missing number one, and on the blue, I'm missing number one and one other card. So, what's up, Joe? I miss so out of the red and the blue, I'm missing 3 cards. I got
Um,
so many cards.
next was Mars Attacks,
I got 6 cards. I still have 12 to go, I think.
and then finally was Look and See cards.
I got a lot of look and sees. I think
That's
I
awesome.
needed about 100. I bought about 40.
Nice.
You can do the numbers at about $12 a piece.
Yeah.
Was not a cheap day.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, comparatively speaking, they're pretty difficult to find a lot of this stuff, right?
So, like I said, there were 3 guys at the show last time. The old man that I got the bulk of the stuff was at last show was not there this time, and his table was crazy looking because it was just cards just like strewn about. Like if you were to just take a pile of cards and just go like this all over the table. That's what his table looked like. It was so haphazard. But luckily for me, he had his look and sees in a rubber band in a box, so I went right to those. But everything else was just a mess. And then the other guy who went to last time, he was out of Mars Attacks completely. He had a nice pile last time, so he didn't this time.
I
So
really think it's interesting, and this is just a me thing. Like, it doesn't obviously correlate to the quality of the stuff that people have or anything like that. But it's really interesting to see at a bigger show. So you were at a bigger sports and collectible convention.
yeah,
It's interesting, and this is some of what we've seen at NYCC too.
yeah.
Some people's booths still look like an absolute disaster, even though they're at like the some of the
I
biggest
think it's
shows
very much
here.
their personalities. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
went to Big Apple Con and there was a lot of guys like that too. Like they're just eccentric tchotchke collectors. I can
Yeah.
imagine their houses look very much the same as their booths. Like it's just little things like thimbles and buttons and keychains and like just everywhere. And that's kind of how I picture their homes to be.
Like, I don't think it was this year,
Mhm,
but last year when we went 2022
mhm.
to NYCC, do you remember that one dealer had several hundred like bronze books and they were just kind of in a pile, like
Yeah, I do.
some of the sleeves looked like they were probably from the 80s, some of them were taped down, some of them were not.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
this stuff was just in a pile on a plastic table. You kind of like
Yeah.
had to like
Yeah.
sort
No,
through
I know.
stuff, and you certainly weren't gonna find any 9/8s in
No.
that group,
Here, let
but
me share the
some
Mars
bangers.
attacks because these are such awesome cards, man. This is a Terror in Times Square.
Well, pretty nice shape too.
Oh, they're in great shape for like 25 burning Navy ships. I love these cards. They're just so good.
Now, were these full blown retail, 25 a piece, or did you get
Yeah,
discounts
about
to
that.
bundle? Okay.
Charred by Martians. I mean, Mars attacks have been becoming quite a popular set for people to set build. And typically on eBay, they're like from David Adams and Greg Morris, like when they do pop up, even the
Yeah.
lower graded ones are like $40 and up.
Yeah, it's
So like to get a bunch at 22.50, $25. I mean, there's one here it's $35. It's nice. This is the giant flies. I mean, these cards are awesome. They're so cool. A soldier fights back. This is the one that was 35.
yeah. Okay, so it looks like I was going to ask you, are the ones with the actual Martians the ones that always sell for more?
No, it's it. There's a couple. So the one card that's worth a lot is the Martian attacking a beautiful woman.
Uh-huh.
That's one of the bigger cards. There's another card, and it's just because of the image is a Martian burning a dog, and you
Mm.
can kind of see the ribs of the dog. Like it's like a
Yes.
little bit more of the violent card.
Very pre-code horror kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, and then number one is a huge card, and the checklist, of course, unmarked is a monster of a card.
Interesting.
And then like this one, this is number 54. Mars explodes. This is the penultimate card, so this is the second to last card. So that wise, this one's $45. It has nothing to do. The condition is not nicer than the rest of them.
Was the checklist the last card?
55, yeah. A creeping menace. That's a cool one.
So just a 55 card set.
Yeah, and destroy the city. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, it's cool.
There you go. Yeah, they're such great cards, man. So I don't have much left, and there are only like three of them that are on in my book marked as the ones that I own are very low grade,
Mhm.
including the checklist. My checklist is marked.
Mhm.
So I have two cards that I need to upgrade because they're so poor, and then the checklist. One day I'll get a nice unmarked one, but they're so expensive, like many hundreds of dollars, like $500, $600, $700 for a bad unmarked card.
Now, uh, do they have counterfeit versions of those, or
They
is
reprinted them in the '90s, but no, you don't see counterfeits of them.
okay?
Probably because Topps created a reprint market, and then
Right.
they came out with a Chrome set even after that, and then they came out with, remember back in the, I think it was the early 2000s, they came out with those wide view or wide vision cards.
Yeah.
They did it for Star Wars. They did it for, I want to say, was it X-Files or Babylon 5, and then they did come out with one for Mars Attacks too. So they're just like wide. They suck because you can't put them in anything.
Uh-huh.
That's what's terrible about them.
Well, that was a big thing at that point in time with those, like, just
Yeah.
the and yes,
Yeah.
they did them for a ton of cards, and
Yeah.
they did it so that the label ran this way too, right? They were in
Yeah.
landscape.
They're a big
Uh,
landscape, yeah. I got some other stuff. I'm not gonna go through all my piles just because one, it'll take all night. There's such big piles, and I'm gonna create a mail call video. The first video that I'll record in this new office will be that one. So I got so much, including I got the Tops Now. I got 50 Tops Now. Caitlin Clark breaks the record
oh,
cards.
geez.
Hoping
Okay.
to get like a numbered card or maybe an auto.
Right.
I scored 2 hobby boxes of Series 2. Everybody's
Oh, wow.
chasing after that Connor Bedard.
Yeah. So
Um,
that's for the young guns, right?
yeah, the Young Guns. Well, the Young Guns 101 is the one with the, what is it, a $1 million bounty on it?
Jeez.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then I got some Prism basketball, trying to score some numbered Wembies. I got 6 more Series 2 blasters. I got a bunch of stuff. Plus, Alex came over the other day. That's AK Triple Play. And he gave me 4 boxes of stuff returned from PSA. So I have all that too that I haven't even opened. Dude, I have so much.
And those are your books?
Yeah, this is all cards. And I'm so behind.
Was it a modern submission for
The
PSA?
ones I got back now are modern. I still got vintage out there too, including my Gretzky rookie. That's really nice.
That's
But
awesome.
and I think I started a new hobby.
Oh, no.
These are so cool, man. I was like, I don't even know how I'll tell you how I stumbled on these. I'll open one now. I
Are
was
you
looking.
are you Funko popping it?
No, I hate Funkos. I was looking through Goodwill when they had their super sale. So like around Christmas time, they'll do like it's like 50 or 75% off. Plus, when you add it into your cart, it's half off again.
Well, okay.
And I added these things to my shopping cart, and I was kind of watching them for like 3 months,
Hmm.
and they sold, unfortunately, and I didn't get them. So then I went to eBay and I was like, let me just see if this is like a thing, or this is an expensive hobby, or just something I can get into without great expense. And it is in fact not a very expensive hobby. And I got two arcade marquees.
Oh,
One
interesting.
I got
The panels, nice.
a Ninja Turtles
Nice.
marquee. These are like right off the arcade machines.
Yeah. That was like everybody had a crush on that April O'Neil.
Oh God, yeah. And then the other one.
Now, are those repos or those originals?
No, these are. I think they're original. They might be off of Arcade One Ups. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
they were $12.
Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, but that's something I can like start decorating my.
Are they all that thick? Like
They're
that?
thick. No, but these are the wood ones, which makes me think that they are like from Arcade One Ups. But I had actually, because I owned at one point, I did own a Marvel vs. Capcom, so I had the plastic.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say. I imagine they're probably acrylic, right?
They're see-through acrylic because they're
Yeah.
backlit, so these
Yeah.
are not. So I think these are Arcade One Ups, which I don't care because that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's also
So the
well,
ones I was
like,
looking at on Goodwill though were
no
like
freaking way you can
old.
make that for
They were
12
like
bucks.
old Midway pinball like backsplashes. Like
Uh-huh.
one was like tanks and the other one was like bubble pop or something like that. They were really cool.
Did
But it
I
makes me
sent
think
you
like
an-
I think I want to get into this.
I sent you and Chris and Jimmy that picture of that Dolly Parton pinball machine I saw, right?
Yeah.
And the funniest thing was like, how often do you think people sell a pinball machine at a big and like indoor antique mall? Probably not that often because they're pretty high end
Yeah.
things. We saw Griffin and I saw that. We walked around, and by the time we come back, somebody was buying that Dolly Parton
Yeah.
pinball.
That's
And then
pretty
we
cool though.
we saw them loading it in the back of a truck when we left. So.
Yeah. Nick and Dolph videos are coming soon, Joe. I got a whole bunch of Pokemon for him to open.
Don't worry. Dolph will butcher Pokemon names and Nick will butcher baseball player names. You
Exactly.
know, those are coming.
I'm trying. But now, like, all these new sets are, like, new characters, and I'm like, I don't
Right.
know any of these people.
And for Nick, you get rookies every single year. So
Yeah.
he's going to have, you know, uh, Vladimir Guerrero Juniors, and he's going to have, people named like Aguiar and stuff like that.
I never thought in a million years that this little box had 10 books in it.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way. I was like, this is too small of a box. Do you want me to go worst to best? Or am I just
Uh,
pulling stuff out at random?
no, I think we'll just pull stuff out. I'll have to see if I can even remember to guess the grade. And
Just
we'll
randomly pull it out?
Yeah, and I'll jot them down. Oh, here's okay. So here's my thought. I hope, very much hope, there's at least four that are 8.0 or above. That's my hope. I don't want to see any. I don't want to see your face about whether that's true or not. I hope that that's the case. I know which four that I hope
That
those to
is the
be.
case.
Okay. All
There are
right.
four that are 8-0 and up.
Yeah. All right.
And there's one that's pretty close.
Yeah. All right.
Yes. All right.
All right. First, what do we got first? All right. So we got Green Lantern number 59, first appearance of Guy Gardner.
Mm-hmm.
I know this had some creases. I know you said it turned out all right.
Yeah,
I'm
turn
gonna
it.
say it's a 6.0 or 6.5. Maybe that's 5.5. Okay, that's fine. I got it for $5. So that
You
is
did, really?
I got that for $5.
There you
So
go. All right. I'm just
Green
gonna go. I'm gonna
Lantern
go right in order.
5.5. Was it white pages, Dolph, or what was it?
Off white.
Off white. Okay.
Not even off white to white. It's off white.
Which I did not know was a designation.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
All right, Doom Patrol 99. This is first Beast Boy. I wanted to say, I mean, it's been so long since I've actually seen this book. 6.5. All right.
Yeah. So we're happy with the grade so far.
And what is that? Off white? Off white
This
to
is
white?
off white to white.
I'd like to know
I
what the
know.
difference between off white to white and off white.
That must mean that there's like some pages that are white and some pages that aren't white. I don't know.
Yeah. So I have the Aquaman in there still. I have Strange Adventures 180. This could be a big one. Okay, so I'm hoping that this is definitely better than 8.0. Is it 8.5? 9.2. Yes.
It's a good one.
That is I'm pretty sure that in these books there is a significant come up when you get to certain like grades, and
Oh yeah.
that nine is
That is
that's
also the first appearance of Red Sonja. For those that don't know.
yeah, yes, right.
First cameo.
Was that a white, or what was that?
Off white?
Off white. I'm very suspect about like these golden age books that get white pages.
Yeah, I know.
Like I don't even know if it's possible.
That's just perfect for
For the
them to get
paper.
white pages is like stored in a trunk somewhere.
I mean, I feel like this was the better of the two, and that got 9 too. But you know, I'm gonna say it's a 9. All right. The great part is both of those are kind of in that you want to get them above 8.5,
Yeah.
right? And then like
Then you hit a new tier of books.
each point above 5. I mean, because they're what, from 73, those two books?
Yes.
Yeah. So, um, all right. So those are good. I'm very happy about those. Oh, all right. So all three Conans in a row. So they should all be in similar condition. Uh, I don't remember anything on any of them. I remember this spine being stupid straight. I'm gonna say nine
Actually, you can see
two,
there's a bit of a taper from the bottom to the top.
9.2. No,
It's an
8.5. All right, all right.
No.
Is there something noticeable on that one that's different than the other two?
Just
Is
that
is there
the spine
corner?
is square as it wants to be. It kind of tails off at the top, so I guess it's just add a square a little bit. But there's not a rollover, so
Right.
it's not like
But I
you
mean,
can
in
make it
8.5,
square.
we should see some discernible ticks. We should see
No, I'm
a
not.
folded
I'm
corner.
definitely not.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something up at the top corner up here, but it's minimal. It could have got. I think this is like one of those books that you can easily resubmit and get a 9.2 tomorrow.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
It's like right in that range where it's like 8.5 to 9.2 is like
What a pain in the
a
ass.
little subjective.
Yeah. Oh, so this is low. Um, I just wanted to submit it for my PC.
I know.
I'm gonna say what, 3.5? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was every bit of a 3.5.
And I got that. I got that very affordably too. I like it because the colors are still great on it,
Yeah, no,
but
it presents well for a 3.5.
it had that big. It had
It's
that
got
spine.
it's got spine issues. It's got
Yeah.
that big tick out of it. It's got a
Yeah.
chunk. This one, I'm
That book
disappointed.
still has some legit value in a 3.5 too.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Oh,
it's
yeah.
crazy.
This one I'm a little disappointed in.
Well, I knew this was a mid grader.
I honestly, I mean, I don't know.
I think they
I thought
probably.
it would have gone higher, honestly.
I think they probably got us for tanning because I want to say this was
Yeah,
like
maybe.
stacked. What are we at, 5.5?
Dude, you're like on point.
Okay.
You're guessing well. I was kind of hoping for a 6.065 on this.
Did that get off? What they get off white?
Off white?
Yeah. I think every book from that collection got off white.
Yeah, probably.
I want to say this is either 6.0 or 6.5. This one has been out of my possession the longest. I don't
Yeah,
100%
I've had it for a while.
remember. Let's go with 6.5. Okay, perfect. Nice.
Yeah. I think it was a pretty solid book.
What is it? Aquaman 29, right?
35.
35. What? Oh, maybe I'm thinking of
The Weathermaster?
yeah. What's his face, right? I'm sorry, that was a 6.5, right?
6.5. First
Then off
Black Man.
white.
Off white pages.
What?
Yeah, white pages. So that's great because
Yeah, that's actually
that turns a
yes.
6.5 in almost like a 7.5. I mean, it really is as far as value. It gives it a bump.
So I got Jimmy Olsen 134 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And Green Lantern. Okay. This was a mid grader all day long. I'm gonna say 6.0. Ooh. Oh yeah. Yes.
7.0 is nice on that.
Yeah, that is good.
It's a good grade.
And that's not white pages though.
Off white to white.
Okay.
How do you want me to get these to you? Are you coming anytime soon, or do
I mean,
you want me to just
I'll-
throw them right
I
back
would-
in the mail, seal the box, and throw it back in the
no,
mail?
I'll definitely come to you it's like I'll make a trip out, you
Okay.
know.
I just didn't know if you had a show coming up or.
Well, so I'm doing a show a month from tomorrow in Allentown, so not far from you guys, but
Will you be there? You'll be
obviously we've
by.
got several weekends between those, so I'll come and get them because I know that Jimmy's going to have a kind of a full house. I know my mom will be there because it's M's birthday, and I think they're doing the birthday party on the day I'll be at the show. So I don't want to be like, oh, have an even fuller house and then have to do a show all
You're
day.
welcome to.
Yeah,
You can stay with me if you have to.
yeah. I'll look at the calendar and see what's what because it's only like an hour and 15 or something from you guys to Allentown.
Okay.
All right, so well, you already told me I had more than at least four that were 8.0 or above, which means this is 8.0 or above, and this book was beautiful. I loved this book. I'm gonna say it's an 8.5. Boom. All right. Yeah, these were solid grades.
Solid grades. Yeah, you did good.
That's off white to weight too.
Off white to white.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hilarious
it
that
presents
one.
really well too. Man, sometimes I'm like, this could just as easily get a 9.4.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
I know.
don't.
It is really frustrating. Um,
The
I
eye
just
appeal on these are so nice.
I just got done watching Swagglehosse's video.
Yeah, everybody's talking about Swagglehorse's video.
It is crazy to watch that and um, to think that they're telling people that that's how everything's done. You know what I mean? Like, and they're talking about this 9.9 10.0
Oh, it's
pre-screen.
total BS. Everybody has considered 9.8 to be a 10,
Right,
and everybody that got a 9.9 is just like it's like a unicorn.
right.
So like now you're what are you telling everybody that their 9.8s are no longer 10s? Like
Yeah.
what's so it's the new 10, so now my 9.8 is the third highest grade. It's not even like a good grade. It's like the third best. Like
Well,
ten's not a thing. Like how many 10s in the history of CGC have they been given out?
yeah, I think
They devalued 9.8s.
right. They devalued essentially their product in
They
general,
devalued their own product. Yeah.
and
You can't do that.
and also like this idea that not only that, but that somehow there's like a real consistency, like between somebody who's a master grader and between I don't know how many graders they have at CGC, but I'm assuming it's a couple hundred, right? So like that there's this idea that there's uh oh my God, there's such a difference
Yeah,
in
I
in
bet.
uh in some of those books too. But some of the books, like if I'm looking at that Beast Boy, last 6.5 sold for 180. The last 7.0 sale, now this cannot be true, but the last registered 7.0 through cover price sold in 21. The last 7.0 had sold for 560, like three times the
Wow. But I
the
mean, we've seen that
six,
in the hot list too, where
six
the
five.
like
Yeah,
a 6 is sold higher than a 7.5, and you're like,
yeah,
what?
just
Yeah,
really
it doesn't
odd.
make sense.
Yes, odd stuff. Um, uh, but yeah, I mean that's a pretty successful. I would say that's probably one of my
Yeah,
more successful
very good compared
submissions.
to the that something's killing the children, where I can't wait to I'm resubmitting that one, right?
Yes, yeah. I
I
mean,
mean that is just some gung ho grader that's like, oh, I got you on this one. Like, screw you, pal.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's just it doesn't make
Especially
any
given that there's
sense.
not like naked eye test. There's nothing. You can't even
Nothing.
look at it. You
Nothing.
know.
There's nothing. It's
Um.
BS. Total BS. What was it called?
It
Page
was called
def
What was it called? Dye
ink
migration or ink
whatever it
migration or
was. Such
something like
B.
that.
I've never heard of that in my entire life.
So Dolph, here's something funny. That the Elric book, right?
Yep.
The lat Mine's an 8.5. The last 8.5 sold on March 3rd.
Hmm.
Somebody clearly got an insane deal, probably on an auction. $76.
Hmm.
Okay. 9.0 sold on March 10th.
A couple days later.
250.
Big difference. Big difference.
Yeah, big difference. 9.6 sold in January. Now 9.6 is obviously 9.6, but 780 on that book.
Yeah.
And the last 9.8 FMV 2,800. So yeah.
Wow. Well,
Um
that's that, man.
yeah. Well, yeah, like I said, definitely the Conan 23 at a 9.2 is pretty killer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Anytime you get Silver Age that high of a grade, that's really good.
yeah. Yeah, the the and that book is so last 9.0 sold or F last 9.0 sold for 295, last 9.2 240, 9.4 276. So the last 9.0 sold for more than the last 9.4. But we're in that it's in that $250 range.
Yeah.
Uh,
Joe is asking if you have any TMNT comics for sale.
I have a lot of TMNT, Joe. They would be all from the initial Mirage run for the most part. No
Yeah.
adventures or anything like that. Yes, I do have lots. So,
That's the run you want. I mean, when it
yeah,
starts the Archie, then it's just the keys. Otherwise, it's all fluff.
right. And then,
I do
once you
like when they went to Image, though. I do like those books.
well, there is some keys, definitely some keepers in every single TMNT run too,
Oh yeah,
which is cool.
yeah,
Um, so there's always something. There's always something to be on the lookout for in those. But yeah, I would say that the Mirage run is obviously the one to have, and it's interesting because they go through like these several different kind of eras in the Mirage run.
yeah.
There's the kind of the OG, which is
Hmm.
like one through, well, really, if you think OG 1 through 4,
Yeah,
but
and
then
then you got
like,
to add in the Raphael one.
yeah,
That's predates 5, right? It's between
yeah.
4 and 5.
And then if you like, if you start to expand that a
Yeah,
little bit, then you're talking the OG is like through probably issue 24 or something like that.
yeah,
And then you have those funky 90s covers where they started to screw around with the TMNT trade dress. And they're like very bizarre, almost
yeah. They
like
get a little weird. They get really weird.
yeah, they're very much like Rocco's Modern Life kind of designs for a minute there.
Joe's like not looking for raw books, looking for raw books. Please, please explain, Joe. Hold on one second.
Yes.
Are you looking for raw books?
Joe, you're a mystery wrapped in a riddle wrapped in an enigma. I gotta actually turn on the comments here. Dolph, I did not realize how expensive the Jimmy Olsen book was. All right, Joe, let me pull up the comments here and see what you're saying. Since Dolph walked away, I can't see I can't see what you're saying. Turn my
What is that,
volume all the way
Jason?
down.
You didn't realize what?
I didn't realize how expensive the Jimmy Olsen book was.
Oh yeah. Well, first Dark Side, yeah.
I think that's probably by far the most expensive book.
Yeah, I
In
told my dad to very very early on, maybe like 8 years ago, 10 years ago. I told my dad to jump on a 9.4, and it was like $290. I told him to buy it, so he's got that. He's got that at his house, a 9.4,
so what did he pay? To
two
what?
ninety.
So right now FMV for the 8.5, 480, which is probably higher because they don't have a sale since November of 22, and the
Yeah,
last 9.0 sold earlier this year for 650.
9.0 for 650.
Yeah, 9.2 last sold in February for 813. Yeah, that That is brutal when you're like, I
Yeah,
don't see that difference between my 8.5 and
such
like
a
a
big
9.2
difference.
because like I mean there's like a $300 difference between those grades. And then that book is crazy. 9.6 FMV is over 2,100 bucks. And a 9.8 last sold for 14,000.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Now it sold in June of 22, so pretty
Yeah,
much
that's the
that's pretty
height.
much peak, but
But it's got that dark cover, so I'm sure the census is pretty low on that.
yeah.
I can't imagine what a 9.8 looks like. It'd be beautiful. I love that
Yeah.
cover. I mean, it's weird though. It's like kind of, you know, Superman on the cross kind of Jesus
Sure.
motif.
Yeah.
It's
Little
cool though.
lying prostrate.
Yeah.
Um
So
it's
Joe's
funny.
looking for raw TMNTs.
Yeah. Joe, if shoot me a email and I can actually send you send you a list of what I have.
You want to put your email in the chat? You want me to? Or do you want to?
Yeah, I can put it in the chat here. Oh, well, yeah. I can't put it in our chat because our
You
chat's on
cannot put it
Zoom.
in our chat.
No, here we
You
go.
could put it in the chat.
Yeah. That that 3.5 Death of Gwen Stacy is more expensive than
Yeah,
the 6.5 First Beast Boy.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
But it does track.
Yeah.
That
Yep.
Gwen Stacy, but I mean ASM anything is just crazy.
Here we go, Joe. Yeah, so I don't know, that was a solid that was a solid unboxing. So,
Yeah, no, that
you know,
was a good one, and you predicted
yeah.
80% of it.
The
So
Elric
even
book
even
was the
not
one
having
that
had eyes on it in a long time, you kind of remembered what they were.
yeah, the Elric was the outlier, and I still think it's a bit of an outlier, right? Like I
Like I
said, that
said,
last
I guarantee you could submit it again tomorrow and get a 9.2 just as easily.
the last book is an outlier for this grade. So it's probably legitimately, 75 bucks more than this
Yeah.
last, you know, um,
I wonder how we would do if we were able to put together like a claim sale, like some other channels. I just wonder if we could get the traffic to make it worthwhile.
yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like,
If we
because
don't have if
otherwise,
we don't have 30 people watching,
yeah,
it's hard to do a claim sale.
yeah, right. You need. I mean, holy crap! When Gary and the Principal Defects would do them, 400 people. So, insane.
Do they have that many watching?
They had them at one point in time. It was an incredible number of people, and now they're moving over to some eBay Live shows and stuff like that. And I think to some extent it probably is really difficult to manage on YouTube, right? Like because
I
you're
mean,
having
if you
to
have a person like if let's just say somebody was following along all of it and knew how to handle all like just sending out PayPal invoices and stuff like that just to
right,
like I mean, the worst thing that can happen is they don't pay and then I still have the book. I'll just sell it again next week.
right,
So I mean,
right, right,
like it
right.
doesn't,
Yeah,
skin off my back.
yeah. I
I
think
just
I
wonder.
think the idea of moving to eBay Live is because you can do the same thing, but eBay's the platform that's taking those.
Yeah.
I mean, they're managing that stuff. So
So they're
that's
also taking a cut.
sure, sure, sure. But I mean, it's
Um,
something that you're not doing. You're not missing bids. There's no discrepancy of like
right,
mine came in before theirs. Yeah, no
right.
complaints about the lag in internet time. Like, it's their platform. It's eBay's platform, and you know. Um, that helps a lot too.
Yeah. Yeah, there is the lag thing.
Um, so I think so. You and Crystal didn't get to go over to Jim's, right? You got a
No.
hefty box over there,
Yeah, can't wait, man.
and I'm really excited to see once you press your heavy metal books, like how
Oh
So
yeah, I'll share that for
I
sure. Like
put them all in
a before and after.
magazine bags and boards. Like I said, the first four issues are nice, but have that water across the top. And
Is
then,
it
funny enough,
staining or is it just a ripple?
It's a ripple. Yeah. I
It's
mean,
not a stain though. There's no
there's nothing that's super noticeable
like
because
tide
like
lines. There's no tide lines.
the no, you don't see a true like water,
Mm-hmm.
you don't see that true water stain.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see the wave at the top, so you knew there was something.
I
Um,
think I could probably get rid of that.
Number two actually looks really nice because it's a dark cover and you still don't see that. You don't see any of that. So funny enough, the first four had the water issue, but otherwise are really nice looking books. Then I think it's issues 5 and 6 look like they read the hell out of them. Those spines are like ravaged, but they never had any issues
Yeah, I can't.
with
You know
water.
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read them first, and then I'll probably seal them up. And I'll have them like I'll have number one probably graded just because I want it slabbed because that's just like a book I would probably put on a wall.
Yeah,
I
Jimmy
love any
flipped through
number one.
them, and there was like Mobius. There's a bunch of Mobius stories and stuff like that in
Yeah, that's
there.
so cool.
And then you're like, oh, I don't know why this was so kind of controversial. And then there's like a full
Yeah,
blown chicken scratch vagina in your
yeah.
face. And you're like, oh, that okay.
It's like when you
There's
open up
where
the
there's where it would have been in a back room, kind of a thing.
it's like when you open up your cassette of Appetite for Destruction. You're like, oh, see that spinny like chainsaw robot going after the girl with her panties down her legs. You're like,
Yes,
I was what 11, 12 when I bought that, right? Would that come out like 89, 88?
Yes, it would have been like 88, I think,
So I'd
probably.
have been
Yeah,
like 13.
yeah. So, yeah, it is funny because like
Yeah.
a lot of those books, like even some of the weirdo magazines, initially, first couple stories. I mean, they're adult things. So some of them are adult just because it's like, Harvey Pekar kind of stuff, like American Splendor, like it's about the human condition kind of thing, and then others are adult because
Right. Yeah,
there's
Harvey Pekar never got risque. I know that
uh,
him and Crumb were friends, but I don't think he was like Crumb. Crumb is just a whole other perverse.
yeah, yeah.
I
Which
mean,
is really interesting too, because like I said, I saw him when he was here at Penn State, but he was only talking about he's this authority on the American blues too. So
yeah,
it's
that's
really
right.
interesting juxtaposition of authority on blues, right? Which you think is like this kind of like you really have to understand.
And a very public deviant at the same time.
Yeah, and then a very at the same
Which
time
is,
very
it's unapologetic, whatever. It
yeah,
is what he is,
interesting.
but
Yeah.
he definitely
Uh
likes naked girls and
yeah.
cats.
Yes, very and
and
big
and
muscle
big
naked girls. So,
muscular cats.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Cat boobs too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, speaking of cats, you're probably going to have Jimmy stick your box outside for about 10 minutes in the breeze before you
Yeah.
or bring your own box and transfer them out of the one box.
You don't
Now,
have pets?
I don't have. I'm not allowed. I rent
Oh,
half of the house. Yeah.
not
So,
allowed. No pets.
yeah, no pets. Um, Beth and the kids have a Siamese cat, but
Yeah.
she doesn't have a lot of pet dander because she's Siamese, so um, pretty short hair cat. But yeah, so anyways, Jimmy had a solid stack. You have a
Yeah.
solid stack,
Crumbs
and
remembers the appetite for destruction too.
then hoping his parents don't open those.
Oh
Now
man, it was bad.
I'm assuming they made did they make a PG version of the cassette too?
No, In fact, there was a story behind it too. I don't know if it was intended to be the cover, and then obviously it's too. It's not X-rated, but it's risque.
Yeah.
So they just tucked it on the inside, and then you don't even see it until you open it up a second time. Like the cassette opens, and then another flap opens. You're like, oh.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of that. I mean, a lot of those posters you could win at the carnival.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right? Hoping your mom didn't see which carnival. You didn't get the Garfield glass frame.
Yep.
that it only took two wins
Yeah.
to get a Garfield framed glass or a goldfish. But then in the different section of the carnival, that's where you could get
Yeah.
you know heavy metal, or you could get
Oh
a
yeah.
poster of Kathy Ireland or something along those lines.
Heck yeah. That's why we went to New Hope. Superkind had all those posters. That's right. You get your Farrah Fawcett.
Yeah, I think they still said that's the highest selling poster of all time.
Has to be that one, and the other one I had was oh my god, what was that British girl's name? Uh,
Samantha Fox.
Samantha Fox.
Yeah.
That one where she's got the leather jacket on and her boobies hanging out. I had that one for a while.
I mean, it is an interesting time when you knew they had to do was make one poster image, right?
Yep.
In a pre-internet society,
Yep.
like we could print this forever.
Well, I had that one on the back of my door, so anybody coming in never saw it. No idea. My bedroom was filled top to bottom. The ceiling was filled with posters. I had like
Uh,
above my bed I had like two Doors posters because they Superkind and New Hope used to sell the big bus posters. They weren't even the 24 by 36. They were the
oh, right.
36 by 48. They were
Yeah.
huge.
And then what was the subway size? Remember, there's a
That
subway
was the
size?
that was the
Oh, is that
subway
what it
size.
was?
So it would have been an American 2 sheet. So it would have been two 24 by 36s.
Yeah, I had a Beastie Boys not ill
Nice.
communication in my college dorm room. I had a regular standard PE, Public Enemy,
Yeah,
black and
I know
white,
the one.
which was baller.
Oh yeah,
And
I know the
then
one.
I had the Beasties, but it was made sometime between ill communication and Hello Nasty. It was
That was
like
the
in
one
that.
where it was the three of them, like right, like over a
Uh,
sidewalk. They're like kind of over each
well, no,
other.
so that's the cover.
That's the
Check
one.
your head.
Yeah, Mike D in the background.
Yeah, mine was like it must have been a promo picture or something like that. It wasn't an album cover.
Yeah, that's what was
Um,
cool about this place too. Like they had these posters that I just you never saw anywhere else. It was just so cool.
yeah, I mean that is freaking rad, right?
Yep.
That they that stuff exists. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I mean, I remember if coming to college every fall they had the poster people came, and then I don't know if that's a thing anymore. I mean,
No.
I work at a college. I don't think it's a thing anymore because it's so big. This college is so big that
Yeah.
I don't know that that's something that people do anymore. I couldn't imagine the scale of it if they did, you know.
No. Mm-mm.
Um, so what's so yeah, so that was I was talking about it last week, and I did actually pay for my table, so I'm definitely in that con in in I'm definitely in the con in Allentown. These actually are going to be insane books to have for that
Yeah,
con.
that'll be good for them.
Um, I mean, good God, it's an extra couple grand worth of product. I'm trying to think if there's anything in this lot I don't sell. Well, obviously, I'm not selling
Well, you're
my
not selling the ASM, the Gwen.
ASM,
Yeah, the Gwen book.
and I don't know. I mean, I don't know. There's some part of me that wants to hold on to the Dark Side book, um,
Yeah,
to
because
see kind of how the DCU starts out with Gunn. Um,
do you think they'll go to Dark Side though?
no, no, I think he
Since
would be down the line,
yeah,
but
if ever.
yeah, if ever, right? Because
I
then
mean, Snyder
they kind
kind
of
of
effed
ruined
him
it.
up once already, right?
Snyder used them.
Yeah. Now it'll be interesting to what'll be really interesting to see is how screwy do things get how screwy do things get with the X-Men, right? Because like they have more misses than hits, right? I mean,
The
would they be
movies,
Hall of Famers? Probably 3 out of 10 movies. But that's not a good batting average for movies, right?
uh, one and two, First Class, Days of Future Past, probably the only four that I liked.
And they're decent movies, but they're not great movies, right?
Well,
Like,
one and two is fantastic.
you think two is fantastic?
Yeah, I think two is really good. Two is, I mean, just that opening scene with Nightcrawler is fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Trying to think of the peripheral stuff they've done too, like New Mutants was kind of
Terrible.
stupid.
It was terrible. But First
Yeah.
Class was great with Kevin Bacon and the Hellfire Club, and
Oh, I guess so, right? Because that's
yeah,
where
First Class was really good. That's with
that's Emma
Azazel
Frost
and Emma
stuff.
Frost. Yeah, that was really good. And Days of Future Past, even though they took liberty with it, was good because it was supposed to be who is it? Is it Emma Frost? No, 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 not Emma Frost. I'm sorry.
Kitty
Kitty
Pryde.
Pryde
Yeah.
is the one who jumps around time and not Wolverine. So they took liberties with that.
Yeah.
But still good.
Yeah.
And one was, just the start of it all. I preferred them being in their own costumes versus the black jumpsuits, but they all look like a motorcycle gang. But I did like one.
I guess we also have to think about the time they were created, right?
True, yeah,
They
they're
were
very of
created
the
like in 2000, right?
early
Something like that.
2000s.
So,
Yeah, it might
um,
have been 2003 was the first X Men,
I
something
think
like that.
probably the best of those early movies altogether is the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man in terms of being like
See, I think
fun.
two is better than one.
No, I know,
Yeah.
but
Oh, okay.
two's like already what is
Yeah,
two like 2004 or something like that.
probably it was
Yeah. So I
one.
think about like if you think about like the first
The
go
first
around,
one was 2002,
I think so,
right?
2002.
2002, and then 2004 was two.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that sounds
they set the bar pretty high as far as the modern superhero movie.
yeah. So yeah, I mean all those all those um are pretty great. And then of course nobody has truly done Venom well yet. Although actually, to be perfectly honest, Spider-Man 3, I liked how they did Venom, like with the symbiote pooling and stuff like that. I don't think they
Yeah,
executed the acting or
yeah,
some of that stuff well, but in terms of like the actual appearance of Venom for the time period, I thought it was pretty decent.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
Topher Grace's Eddie Brock is not really,
yeah, no, he was sniveling,
yeah, kind of not really everybody's Eddie Brock.
every for what I don't
But
understand
they
why
didn't.
did
Sam Raimi
sniveling in
didn't
that.
even want Venom. It was a perfectly fine movie with just Sandman being a tortured soul. Like Sandman was great in the
Yeah,
beginning of that
actually,
movie.
that
Like
is true. Yeah,
you can tell that the Venom stuff was an afterthought.
yeah, and I don't know why it was like everybody at that point in time. And this has been for quite some
I
time.
think you remember though everybody was just screaming for Venom, and they're like,
Yeah,
"Fine, you want Venom? We'll give you Venom." And of course,
yeah,
Sony did what Sony does, and they shit on that movie. Like
yeah.
you could have just said, "All right, Venom's coming in four," but instead, no, they ham fisted him in there, and he was like, "It didn't doesn't belong." And then you get like, "Oh
You
God,
get this too,
yeah,
right? You get
yeah, that was bad."
and I mean, it would have been better if they at least played some sort of pop punk song during that instead of like
Whatever it was,
badam badam
yeah,
badam badam, like it would have been better because like the at least the hairstyle would have matched the
yeah.
scene,
It was like modern jazz. I remember that scene.
It
It
was
was like
bizarre. Yeah, it was
so
bizarre.
bad. Whatever.
Uh,
But yeah, you knew like four because Sam Raimi talked about it. He wanted Malkovich to play Vulture in four, and that just never happened. That would have been
yeah,
really cool.
interesting too, like the time period when this is like we're talking 20 years old, but the time period when if it didn't make like 400 million, they were like, well, it
Yeah,
wasn't a success.
complete
And
failure.
now, fast forward, the
Yeah,
movies cost more money, they'd be happy if it made 400
yeah. It's
million.
so funny. We're back to 80 million is a solid opening domestically.
Yeah,
Like
instead of
they're
like
thrilled with 100, like
instead of like
hundreds.
300
Yeah,
million for an
I
opening.
mean, Avengers Endgame made 1 billion in the first 6 days.
Yeah, something crazy
It
like
was something crazy.
the interesting thing, though, that I think is actually hurting domestic box office is like international box office has been hit harder from COVID, I think, than even domestic. So, like, really, blockbusters since the pandemic we've seen were Barbenheimer, so both of them,
Did they both
and
make a billion?
they both made a billion. I should say Barbie made well north of a billion.
Barbie made a billion.
Uh,
Oppenheimer's probably close.
and the
Guardians 3.
Mario movie made like 2 billion or something like that.
Did
Super,
it?
it made a ton of money.
How did Spider-Verse do?
So the Spider-Verse movies do really well
I
too.
know, but I feel like after the opening weekend heard it because everybody word of mouth was like it's a part oneer,
Oh,
which I would have been
it's a part
pissed.
oneer.
But nobody likes that. It's the same with Dune. You're like, all right, I'm gonna go watch Dune, and then I'm like, all right, I gotta wait 2 years for another Dune, just for all this to make sense. This is the same with
So,
that. It's
uh,
like I was so I was like, are you kidding me? That's it? I was like, I didn't know this was a part one.
yeah, Across the Spider-Verse made 381 million domestic and 690 million globally.
Wow, I thought it would have done better than that. I guarantee it's word of mouth because it's a part one.
Um,
I wouldn't be surprised if they re-release it right before part two comes out, which is probably Christmas now. It's supposed to be March. It was probably Christmas now.
yeah, I mean, how great would it be if, yes, to release both of them and then have you can just watch it as a double feature, right?
Yeah.
Um, Let me see how much did what was it called? The Super Mario Brothers movie?
Mm, I think so. Super Mario. How much did it cost?
No, movie make
Oh, yeah, you're probably. I know it made north of a billion. You're right about that.
1.36 billion. Yeah,
Globally.
total 575 million. See, that one was one that did pull huge international 788.5 million
Well,
internationally.
it's Japanese.
The global property, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
So,
global property.
and I'm sure Barbie did really well globally too. Um,
That one, I feel like I miss the days where they're like, you know what? The movie comes out in January. You're not going to see the DVD until Christmas, and just leave it in the theaters for like weeks and weeks and weeks.
I tried to explain to Lewis and Griff about like this idea of like
Yeah,
that you had to go to a physical store, video store,
yeah.
to get your movie, and it was gonna be a while, like
Oh,
six
not even
months, you
that.
know.
So like E.T. came out in 82,
Yeah.
83. In 83. How long did we have to wait for the VHS? It had to have been 5 years,
It was just
right?
crazy. Like they cannot understand like
No. Oh,
why.
hell no. There's no concept of it.
And then it was screwed up even further during COVID when Disney was like, "Yo, let's just release the same day as theaters, on Disney Plus." And then I was like, "Well, why though? Don't you want people to, 3,000 people worked on this movie. Don't you want people to see it on a big screen?" Barbie made
Yeah,
1.446 billion.
exactly what I just said. So E.T. came out in 83.
Yeah.
The VHS didn't come out until October of 88.
What?
I'm telling you, we waited 5 years for that movie to come out on tape. And it was the first time a videotape was $24.95 because otherwise it was $90. The normal price of a VHS was $89.95 at the time, and ET was the first VHS to be $24.95.
Wow.
Because I remember going because we
See,
had
I didn't remember that
yeah, in
because
Raritan we had a
we had a
Unita.
VCR, but we had video
Yeah,
places everywhere, right?
yeah. So we had a Unita in town. I remember going there and I saw like Police Academy, and it was like $499. And then I saw my first like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. It was like $800. So it was like you can rent this, but if you lose it, you're paying for that.
Sure, sure, sure,
It was
sure.
like that was the scariest thing in the world. Like
Right.
if I lose this or damage this VHS, I owe them like $500.
Yeah, I do remember. I do remember the days of like,
Oh my god.
like you better rewind that thing,
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's most of your college education there.
I just
Police
saw
Academy,
yeah,
Police Academy 27 is worth more than your college
yeah.
education.
I just saw a Instagram guy who was he's about our age. He was doing stand up, And he's like, you guys have no idea what rewind means.
Yeah.
You have never rewound anything. He's
Never
like,
had to worry about
you
tracking.
never had, yeah, no tracking. You've never had to rewind anything. That's
Oh,
crazy though. We waited 5 years for ET.
did you ever get did you ever one of two scenarios?
Yeah.
Get home from West Coast Video or Blockbuster or whatever, open the case and the wrong movie was in it because
Yes.
the kid didn't check it at the thing, which they're supposed to do,
Yeah.
or the tape did not play.
I've ever had a
Like
tape that
that there was
didn't
like a
play.
tracking issue or something like that.
Yeah. It was
And
just
like you're
warned.
sitting there,
Yeah.
you've just prepared like the Doritos and Mountain Dew or Cherry Coke, and somebody's used
And
the
it
air
won't
popper to
play.
pop popcorn, which I don't understand why air poppers are so out of vogue. But
But still get
you know,
'em.
you got all that stuff ready. You're ready to watch Honey I
Yeah.
Shrunk the Kids or Honey I Blew Up the Kids, and then and then it doesn't work.
Ah.
It was the worst.
Yeah. Oh
The
yeah.
absolute worst.
That's funny, man.
So, all right, bro, we doing normal time on Thursday night or you think
Yeah,
we'll be
I don't see why not.
um Hot 10, I'm sure your hot take on the Hot 10 is not good.
It
We had
is.
like 40% carryover and then a bunch of books that I just was like, really?
Why Dark
Uh,
Knight Returns?
I guess it's just like there were some outlier sales, but I mean, I was happy to see like a 9.4 second printing sell for 140 because I just got like a
Yeah, I
pristine
actually did see that for you. I
I
noticed
just
the
got a
second print.
pristine second print in this
Yeah.
collection,
I wonder
and was
how many of
thinking,
those they printed.
what's that?
First print, second print. It's almost like the
I
Killing Joke. I mean, what did that go to? 8 printings, nine
I don't know.
printings?
But the hilarious thing, Dolph, like we always talk about this, right? These are major publishers. They couldn't actually put anything in there. These weirdos that I have, like, are
Yeah.
their second print magazines. In the front cover, it says first print, 10,000 copies. Second print,
Oh,
10,000
there
copies.
you
It tells you
go.
exactly how many copies were made of
Well,
those
I mean,
printings.
it's same with Turtles. Like we know exactly how many they
Right,
printed. Like that's
right.
just recorded history. But yeah, you're right. Like why couldn't they just do that all the time?
And yeah, what I
Like
that
here
is the thing I don't
comes
understand.
yeah.
And the same thing with sports cars. Now I know they had multiple plants, right? But there had to have been
I
invoices.
think that though people have been able, like Striker Breaks has been able to suss out how many there are of a certain card. I know he did that with the Julio versus the short print. I know like he figured there's about 750,000 to 1.2 million of the main card, and then that
Crazy. I
yeah,
can't
I
even
know.
believe the totals are that high still.
Well, yeah, and they're getting even higher. Like you know how many Prism Wembyana rookies there are. That's why everybody like I did just recently purchase a Gem Mint 10 of the base rookie, but everybody's chasing the numbered ones just because you have a tangible. It's just how many there are.
Yeah.
There's no like Panini's printing Wembianas like it's money. Like they're just printing them like crazy. So there's not really air poppers are the best. There's not really a supply and demand. And they were going over like what's his name?
Sweet Bippy there.
Chris Sewell just did that with the Wembiana.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's probably gonna end up being like the Anthony Edwards and selling for $400 now, but it'll be $20 before you know it. But
Right. For raw, right.
Wembiana is just a different animal. Like this
Yeah.
guy is just he's
With nobody around him right now.
with nobody around him. It's crazy watching his highlights. He's just like putting his arm up and just stuffing people, and it's
Yeah.
like he gets an instant block and a rebound at the same time, and
Right.
then he can just pull up and shoot a three. Like it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it since like I guess Luca, but like Chris Sewell was like putting it. He was like comparing him to like Zion. And they're not
Yeah.
even
I think
close.
he's just
Zion's
talking
a
about like
fat,
these
lazy
absurd.
bastard. Like
I think
Zion.
he's just talking about like the absurdity
Yeah, no, I
of
get
like,
it. I get
the
it.
yo-yo of
Yeah,
the
I get all that.
prices.
But then you go to a guy like Luca and his numbers are holding. Like
Yeah.
he's still you get base Luca rookies are still like $80 to $100.
Yeah.
And they're not dropping like Anthony Edwards and
Which is
Zion.
interesting because Anthony Edwards is proved to be a stud, right?
He's really good. He's really good.
Yeah.
But I don't know why his prices aren't holding the same.
Yeah.
You can get a Edwards rookie for like $30, where you can get a Zion for like $11 now. Like
Right.
he's completely. I mean, he's proven he doesn't care about anything. He doesn't
Yeah.
care. He's got his money. He doesn't care. He's gonna just keep eating crumb cake.
It is really, yeah, it is really interesting. I mean, we know that comic totals have never been what sports card totals are. They're way smaller than those.
As
Um,
far as printing, yeah.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's outliers like X-Men 1 or Spawn 1 or
But
something
that
like
was
that.
a moment in time too. Like
Right.
the whole industry has pivoted. It's not like I don't know. I mean, when's the last time we had an event book like the Death of Superman?
Right.
When has that happened? Like everybody running out to get, like, not just like, all right, Superboy. Everybody's like clearing the stores out of Superboy. No, this was like people that have never read comics before are rushing to stores to buy this book.
Right. And it's almost positioned as like a collectible, right? Like
Yeah,
this is a universal collectible that people need to
yeah.
own. Um,
But they were smart about it, because there's
yeah.
not many of the platinums, and the
No,
platinums
yeah.
still hold their value.
Yeah.
But like
I mean,
even
still
Rick
the
at this,
regular one. You
yeah,
still
I
get
mean,
$10 for the regular one, you
easily.
know?
Rick is like, I'll sell these for $20 all day long.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still polybagged with all the interesting stuff inside. Wear your
Yeah.
black armband and your
Yeah.
poster of the coffin, and $20.
Yeah. I mean, and to be
Nope.
perfectly honest, like what can you actually buy for $20 now? Like if you wanted to read a comic and have a comic and have a poster for your room or something like that,
Yeah.
could you really buy that for
Yeah.
$20? Not even at Five Below. Like, you know what I mean? Like you really can't. So those things I think are all relative. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool that they existed. But yeah, I do wish there was more.
Do you remember the last event book?
I mean, there have been some that just weren't, like I think, Miles Morales being created is an event book,
It wasn't, though.
but it wasn't positioned as an
Not
event
only
book.
that, people outright hated that book.
Yeah,
It didn't sell well because people are like, you did what to Peter Parker?
yeah,
And who the hell is this guy?
you effed with Peter Parker, right? Uh,
Nobody wanted that book.
Wokeism, blah 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 blah.
I mean, that was the first time you're like, you're doing what to Peter Parker? And he's who now? No.
Well, it's interesting too because like there have been several attempts at events like 52, New 52, and Rebirth.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is when you're relaunching all 40 titles or 41 titles or whatever, it's hard for people to buy into it be an event book when
Yeah.
books are 295 and just to get issue ones of everything, you're in it for a couple $100, you
But
know?
even then, though, like, so those books are like story books. And then now that trades and omnibus exist, you just wait for the collected version to come
Right.
out if your intention is to read it. And there's no rush. Like, but when is there like a book, just a single book, a single event? Like they tried to do it when they killed off Doctor Strange. They tried. It just didn't, or they just didn't print enough. Like, but nobody was running out to do that. I don't know. When's the last time like they killed a major character or everybody ran to the bookstore to get one? I can't remember one except for like you just like Death of Superman was the last
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. And what you're saying is like non-collectors, right? Like you think
Yeah,
about
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Ultimate Spider-Man 1,
right,
the hobby has gone crazy over that book.
right.
Hell,
The hobby has.
they're on third printing already.
Yeah.
I actually got a third printing of number one when I picked up my pull list on Saturday with
This
Jimmy.
is like one of those ones where like I even told Rick every time a web of comes out, I
Uh,
said just keep buying me one. If they have a fifth print, just keep buying me a print. Like I will keep buying it from you. If you just fifth, sixth, seventh print, just keep
right.
buying them because the rarer they are, the
Yeah,
lower
sure.
the further it goes, the less printed it will be, and those are
Yeah,
the ones that I want. So you get one that's like the fifth print with a variant cover. Like hell yeah, give me that
yeah,
one.
right.
But yeah, you're right. So you keep following this Superboy, and then it's down to its fifth, sixth, seventh print with a B cover. That's the
Yeah.
one you want.
The chartreuse cover.
The chartreuse cover, the
Yeah,
scratch and sniff,
that's
die cut, folio,
yes, holographic. The more
holographic.
stuff,
Yeah,
the more closely the description resembles a Starbucks coffee order, the
exactly.
better it'll be, you know.
Exactly. It's a glow in the dark, smells like farts,
Smells
die
like Teen
cut.
Spirit,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah, that top 10 list just disgusted me again. I'm like, I don't get it.
I mean, how can Wolverine 1 1982 still be how?
It's still affordable though. At 400
Yeah,
bucks
but
for a
like,
9.8.
well, what we've always talked about was that there's new records that it can't be still hitting records at this point in time in multiple grades. It's been on there for like 55 straight weeks. So the book would be worth $1 million if it was hitting new records, unless they're calling like $1 more a new record, you know, like
But why aren't we seeing record breaking numbers for low grade 181s? Is it that are they that priced out? Where
I
so
don't
like
know.
this one is attainable in mid grade. You're talking like $100, $200 maybe on like once you get to like 8.5s, probably like $200, right?
What's that for?
For Wolverine 1.
Oh, I think 8.5 is probably cheaper than $200. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because the 9.8's 400, I think. 405, 450,
And it
450.
was huge. I mean, it was like around a G at one
Oh,
point.
yeah, early 2020, it was a big book, but not anymore.
Oh, this is crazy though. Dark Knight Returns, which is like, it says actually first prestige format issue.
It is the
Um,
first.
a 9.8 is at $1,000.
They're not hard to get either because of the way they're printed. They hold well as far as
Now,
like
if
their
you
condition.
read them though, you're screwed
Once
because
you
if you
crack
read
the
them,
spine, it's
you crack the
Denzo.
spine, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
once you fold over that spine, it's it. So you can't read it. You can
interesting
only
that
just look at it.
I'd have to really take a look at my number one second printing. I'd have to really take a look at it to see if what it was worth submitting for because none of them were read. The two second prints obvious are the two number twos, the two number
I
threes.
mean, Jason, it's really easy. You see white anywhere, don't buy it.
I know.
I mean, it's got to be black. Just black
Yeah.
around the borders, the spine, no wrinkles. It's got to be
Yep.
perfect.
You got to be able to shave with it.
But then again, these days, that's the perfect candidate for a 9.9 or a 10.
That is right.
Those
It
those
is shocking to see the kind of price compression that Secret Wars 8 has.
What do you mean?
Like, so it's a book from 1984. Traditionally speaking, if a book's from 1984, we don't even want to look at it unless it's like a 9 or better, right? Like
Right.
in terms of like resale. An 8.0 on average is selling for $205, but a
Really?
9.0 on average is selling for 210. And a 9.4, 263. Now I would gladly pay an extra $55 to get one, two, three, four, five grades higher.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I was in the market to buy that book, uh, as
That's
as
another
a
one though. Like people want that book. There are so many of that book.
no, I know
There are
that's what I
like
mean. That's
that.
what
That was Secret Wars was another event book. They
I
printed so
I
many
just
of
think it's
those.
interesting. Like oftentimes you have to have it in such and such or higher to even, but that book is so popular
Yeah.
that it's like ASM
That's what I
300.
always say about New Mutants 98. If
Yeah,
you're not a 9.6 or higher, don't bother.
it's like ASM 300. It's just
Yeah.
so popular that
That
people
one, any
buy.
grade people want it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice to
Uh,
have them in high grade, but yeah, any grade of ASM 300 is fine. I
um,
mean, you could say that about, any monster Silver Age, but like would
Gosh.
you take a Black Panther 1.0
Yeah.
FF48? I would,
I mean,
sure.
what I would hope that you could still see the cover in a
Yeah.
1.0.
Right.
I would, if I had my druthers and it was somehow like conserved, I'd rather have a conserved if it was like really
I mean,
clean, you
yeah,
know?
I think Todd McFarlane's got the right idea as far as like these mega keys. Like, who cares? That's the book. If it's got a little conservation or it's got a little color touch, like, who cares when you're talking about a Tech 27 or an Action 1? Like, I don't care if it's restored. That's still the
Yeah.
book.
Yeah, I showed Jimmy that Ruben Blades thing
The
with the
video, yeah.
yeah, and you finally
I'm
saw that, right?
happy though that you're saying his name correctly.
He actually says in the thing, he says Blades or Blades.
Yeah, I know.
So
I've always said Blades. It's
um,
because I thought it was a Hollywood name. Ruben Blades is a cool
right,
name.
that's right,
No,
yeah.
it's Blades.
Uh, did you watch that though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
it's amazing. His wall is just like, oh my god.
yeah, the idea that he has literally the original cover to Punk One,
Yeah.
which it's such an important zine in the pantheon of zines, right? First time that word is used in print to mean punk rock,
Hmm.
and which is just crazy, like a whole genre, right? And then to have the original cover is pretty bad. A.
That's
He's got
pretty.
an original pencil drawing by Frazetta
He sure does. He
of a
sure
tiger, which is
does.
crazy.
It's
And then
crazy.
to have a Tech 27 and an Action 1. Now both are conserved, but I think they were both what is the least restoration, but also the best kind that you won? I think that's what both of them were.
They're gray,
Um,
right? The gray label,
well, that's the
the
conserve, but I mean,
conserve.
like, you know how it's like whatever it is, like C1,
Oh yeah, yeah,
A1,
yeah.
those kind of
I
things.
have my book somewhere, but yeah, it's in there.
Um, I think what was it? His Action 1 is like a 5.55 or something like
Something like
that, and
that. It's
his
crazy.
Tech 27 is like a 7.0. And she did those assessments at the peak, but you know, you have to give a lot of grace to the appraisers
And
too, because like
that's the girl from Antiques Roadshow, right? That
yes,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it was Antiques Roadshow. It's just during the pandemic they couldn't do the actual show,
Right.
so they did a couple celebrities
I
ones
don't
where they
really like her. I think she's been weird with her assessments of things where I'm just like, No, that's
I
not
just think
correct."
they were way low. I mean, I
She's
think
better. Yeah, they are way low, and she does that a lot. She's better with sports than she is with comics, but she does do the comics too, and I'm like, no.
because I
She
think he said in the video, I think he said he paid, what did he pay?
not
150
Yeah, it wasn't
grand or something like
much,
that.
but that's
150
yeah,
grand.
something like
For the
that.
two of them were it might have been like 250 grand, but her estimate was like 450 for the pair, and
Yeah,
I
not
don't think there's
today.
any way they're less than like 700,000 even in conserve. Like I don't think
I don't. A Tech 27 7.0. It was conserved, right?
or I'm sorry, yeah, it was purple
It was
label.
a purple label,
Yeah.
so it was not conserved. That's help me, qualified.
Qualified, right?
Um,
But they're complete books. They're just obviously they
right,
have
right, right. But
information.
say a
Yeah.
Tech 27 and a 7.0 qualified is probably 500 by itself.
Yeah, right. Because it's like, what is the purple
Without the
label they
label, it's a
say?
$3 million book.
The purple label they say was what, two full grades or something like that, or three
It
grades.
might hit harder than that. There's something a little bit of a stigma to the purple label, but when you get to those books, like, who cares? I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. Talk amongst
Um,
yourselves.
yeah, I'm gonna actually pull up what a. I'd like to see what a if there's any accurate numbers on what the what blue label is. Anybody who's still with us, thanks for sticking with us, actually. Um, Joe, Joe, if you're still here, are there any Turtles books in particular that you're actually looking for? Because I think I probably have about 25 or more issues
Of what?
of. I'm just talking to. I was saying if Joe's still here, are there any of the
Oh, TMNT.
any TMNT books in particular he's looking for? Because I probably have about 25 or so of the Mirage
Yeah, I think
issues
Joe's still here.
in my
We
back
have the
bins.
same three viewers that we've had the whole time.
Um, so Tech 27. Let's see, Dolph.
Are you looking
If
Go Collect?
I am looking, well, yeah, I don't have Go Collect, so I'm only looking at cover price, so it's only going to show me blue.
I
Um,
can do Go Collect real quick.
this is so funny. This is the people reason people sometimes do not like cover price. Clearly a reprint sold recently because they have a 5.0 to 6.5 on the regular as $35 selling in February.
Yeah.
Uh, so the last the last 8.0
Oh, I was wrong.
is that really is the highest grade for a Tech 27 an 8.0?
I'm in Restored. There's definitely 194 in Restored.
Okay.
Universal. No, there's a 92. There's two 8.0s, 185, and a 92. And this isn't real. You don't have. Oh, CBCS.
So what's the last restored 7.0 sell for?
So the last Restored 7.0 was 380.
380 by itself.
380 by
And,
itself.
and when was that?
2022.
Okay.
So it wasn't that long ago, and
Yeah,
that
so
would have been almost at the height anyway. So
but you're still thinking, I mean that book's relatively insulated, right? So you're thinking still like maybe it took a $50,000 dive, so it's still
yeah.
325 grand.
And what was his action? Was a
Is
5.0
I
restored?
want to say it was 5.0 or 5.5, something like that. If you guys haven't seen that before, it's definitely worth checking out. It's a great
So there's no sold listings on the 5.5. There really nobody's selling their action ones.
right.
Some guy has sold his 6.5 restored in 2021 for 300K. It's got to be more than that now.
Wow,
So I
only
mean,
three
she's
only
pretty close then.
300K for 6.5.
But that's in 2021 too.
It's actually shocking.
So she's pretty close at 600K for the two.
Well, I think her estimate was like 450 for the two, though.
So that it's probably, I mean, that was pre-pandemic when they recorded that too. So
No, it was in the pandemic. That's why they
oh,
did.
that's right, you did say
Yeah,
that.
that's why they did those shows.
Silly
But
Raven Blood
the
Doctor.
reason I think you give those people leeway is because like during the pandemic, the books were like,
Yeah,
I
they
mean, they
were.
were just like galloping along, right?
I feel like sports cards was a little bit more because everybody, all the sneaker kids were
oh
going
no
into the
doubt,
Last Dance. It was definitely
no.
sports cards was crazier than comics were.
I mean, if you could have had the foresight to understand what Last Dance was going to do,
Isn't that crazy how a documentary just fueled this like pop culture phenomenon? I
I
mean,
mean, it
now
was
it's like
freaking crazy, actually.
it's
You know,
balancing out, but holy crap, that's crazy.
but I mean, it's funny though, because like I think to myself, like, what did I do? My buddies and I created like a Discord channel just so we could watch the Last Dance kind of in real time
Yeah,
with one another and comment like in real time.
yeah,
So I can certainly see why it was like that. It was a cultural like
yeah.
uh, like touchstone, but to understand that it would have the impact on the collectibles market like it did, I certainly could not have seen that coming.
Never. I just started the Dynasty too, the Patriots one.
Oh, really? I didn't.
It's not even done yet. It's 10 episodes and they're only through 7, I think. I just started one.
I'm
Drew
a
Bledsoe
Patriots
just
baby.
got knocked out by Brian Cox. He's like
So
this on the
here's the
sideline.
thing, Dolph. His it's a 5.5 for the action and a 7.0 for the tech. Yep.
So she's close to right, maybe like 100 off.
It is really funny when you talk about being like $100,000 off and still being pretty accurate. Like
Like you said though, it's like these numbers are they? They're not even real numbers. It's just
right. it is wild though to see like when you see like so I watched a lot of that content after you told me about what was the baseball card player the baseball player um
Oh, Dimitri Young.
Dimitri Young. I watched a lot of content and it was very cool to see that he had like
Oh, he
the
had
highest graded like of like almost everything, and and it
crazy.
was so insane to see that and um to know though that he because he was a professional baseball player in the era where they were making 10+ million dollars a year. He was buying at a time where they didn't cost half a million per card, most of them. And so he was buying these things in PSA 10s. I forget what the one card is where he paid up and his fellow players were like, "You paid that for a baseball card? You're insane. You're
Hmm.
an idiot." Like and then only to see, he made uh
Oh, he had to have made 10x on his
yeah,
initial investment. It's crazy how much he resold those cards for.
yeah.
And not only that, he got the PSA version of the what's it called? His own collection. The cards are called the Dimitri Young collection.
Right.
What is that called? Prestige.
Yeah,
Not
prestige.
Prestige.
Yeah, a freaking pedigree.
Pedigree. Thank you.
Yeah. Dolph, Ruben Blades only paid 45 for the Tech 27.
That's crazy. I told you that my dad almost had them both, right?
Yeah,
Did I tell you that story?
yeah.
He
Well,
was
you
in the
said,
he was in the Persian rug market with a friend of his as antique dealers, and a lady almost traded both a Tech 27 and an Action 1 for a Persian rug, and her son told her not to.
um, yeah, she said that if the 7.0 was blue label, it would be about 800 to 900,000.
Oh my
Um,
god, can you imagine?
and she's estimating the 5.5 uh, restored action at 175 to 250. So not crazy off, because what did you say it was about the action was like 300
The
something?
Action was 3 and the Tech was 380, 400.
Yeah. He's so funny because he says he's like, geez, gee whiz, if the guy who sold these to me is watching this, he's probably like, really beating himself up right now. He's like, well, we all did that.
Man, there's so many football moving.
Yeah.
My
I mean,
God.
the Eagles are having quite a
Half of my fantasy team is on a different team
yeah,
because I have Travis Henry, Tony Pollard, Singletary, like all three of them are on new teams, and now they're the featured backs on all the teams.
yeah. How about Derrick Henry being a
I honestly was
Raven?
disappointed. I didn't know Gus Edwards left for the Chargers, so I thought he was going to be second fiddle to Gus Edwards. I was like, oh, he left, so he's going to be the guy. And then Singletary's taking over for the Giants, and Pollard went to the Titans.
Yeah, it's um yeah, it's going to be interesting. You're really going to have to, especially for fantasy, you're really going to have to revisit these things in a couple months to remember who's on what offense and how they check out.
Yep.
I didn't see how or why the DeAndre Swift thing went down the way it did with the Eagles, other than maybe he was on a 1 year deal. I didn't remember
No,
him being on
from
a
what
1 year.
I heard, the Eagles wanted to keep him over Barkley, and he just took more money to play for the Bears.
Interesting.
The Bears just offered him more, but I don't know where the Bears are. Why he wouldn't want to stay with the Eagles? Like the
Yeah,
Eagles are contenders. The Bears are bottom of the division.
yeah. I don't know. And he's
Starting with,
from Philadelphia. He's from Philadelphia too.
is he really? Then why would
Yeah,
he do that?
yeah. Hard to say.
Not to mention, like, they're going to get a new quarterback. They're going to dump Fields. Like, from what I hear, Caleb Williams is not that. I mean, he's okay, but he's overrated.
Interesting enough, they said if the price, I was reading tonight, they said a lot of pundits think if the price for Fields drops low enough that the Eagles, and it's clear to Fields that he'll be a second string quarterback, he could go to the Eagles and back
Love.
up Hurts.
I mean, Hurts, not Love.
But I don't know, man. I just obviously as a Penn State person, I want to see Saquon crush it. But now as an Eagles Penn State person, I want to see him stay healthy and just have a bonkers year, which
I
I
mean, he
think he's
could.
fully capable of doing, you know. So we'll
Yeah.
see how it goes. But I think there's going to be a bit more parity, I think, in the league next year. You're starting to see some freaking super offenses being built too. Like now, the Eagles' offense looks even crazier.
Yeah.
Baltimore's offense with Derrick Henry looks pretty crazy now. Yeah, you're really starting to see this consolidation.
Crumbs. What's the difference between a legacy collection, pedigree, and prestige? Prestige is
A
I think
designation of
we
a
used it wrong. That prestige is just a square
the,
bound
yeah,
comic.
it's a format,
A
yeah.
pedigree, I don't know about legacy collection. Pedigree is just a known collected collection, or it's a collection by one owner of the time. So
Yeah.
he had to have been like somebody who collected, his entire collection was self-made and not bought from anywhere else. Like, he bought it directly from the shop every whatever day he went and got a comic, and
Yeah.
that's how those pedigrees are built.
I want to say, so here it says this is direct from the uh, blah, blah, blah,
Because
blah.
I know the
CGC recognizes 61 pedigrees. If you are the current owner of an exceptional comic book collection, CGC is more than happy to discuss potential pedigree status with you. Pedigree status criteria. The collection must be original owner.
the original owner.
That means that the books must have been, as Dolph said, bought off the newsstand as they came out. For example, a collector cannot buy a high grade run of 40s comics
No.
from various sources and expect to be considered a pedigree. It's just a collection.
Mm-hmm.
The original owner need not currently own the books for the collection to be considered for pedigree status. That's interesting.
Right, I
Which
didn't know
we
that.
knew was the case, right? Because like
Well, the Promise collection, I mean, obviously the owner's long passed. I mean,
right.
that's the
The
premise
collection
of the
must be
Promise.
of vintage material. This
Mm-hmm.
this means that a large collection consisting comics from the 70s to present cannot be considered a pedigree. In fact, until the sale of some of the key White Mountain, in fact, until the sale of some key White Mountain books in Sotheby's auction in the early 1990s, Silver Age comics were not accepted as pedigree collections. Comic books from 1966 and after are relatively common in high grade compared to earlier issues. This occurred as a direct result of a tremendous explosion in the number of collectibles in fandom in the mid 60s. Collections that are primarily from 66 and after must have average grades of at least 9.4 to be considered pedigree.
Oh, that I didn't know.
That's
Really?
crazy.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Like,
that's crazy.
is that just an average, or they have to all be of that
Must have an
quality?
average grade of at least
Oh
9.4.
my god.
Could you imagine though the
No.
value of that? I mean, 66, we're talking about 58 years old still. Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean,
The
that how
the collection must consist of a considerable number of comics. Most pedigree collections consist of at least 1,000 books, and some number over 10,000. The collection that consists of fewer books, such as the Allentown and Denver collections, must include extremely rare, important, and or key material. So that seems a little wishy-washy. That seems just like me to me, them grading 9.9s and 10.0s, right? Like, well, that's pretty rare, so we're going to go ahead and give it a pedigree, even if it's less than 1,000 books.
Well, I mean, it's not like, if a pedigree collection has, a couple of 8.5s in it, it's not going to spoil the whole thing.
Right.
I mean, I think, like, it's meant
Yeah.
to just be high grade, I guess, is acceptable.
So the next criteria, the collection must be high grade. Comics from the Silver Age in general would have to be 9.2 and higher, and a collection of exclusively Silver Age, they just said this, must have an average grade of 9.4. Golden Age comics would have to be high grade as well. For example, the Lost Valley collection consisted of many Golden Age books from pre-41
Yeah, that's
that
a
were
crazy
technically
collection.
mid grade, but were
Jason, I gotta
almost
share that CGC book with you. When you see the pedigree section, you're gonna be like, "What?" It's really cool. Each one has like a story behind it. You gotta check out that section of the book.
So it said that in that the Lost Valley, most books from 41 were technically mid-grade, but were almost across the board the highest graded copy for
Yeah.
that book. Page quality must be nice as well. Many of the pedigree collections were recognized and accepted by the hobby before CGC came into existence in the late 1999. So I guess, CGC is not really making this as a designation. They're recognizing it as a grading company, but the kind of concept of the pedigree and these components, these criteria existed prior to them.
Mm.
They're kind of recognizing those things based on these, agreed upon
I mean, the reality is, if you
standards.
want to keep the quote unquote pedigree label going, you have to start accepting Silver Age, because how many of those Golden Age collections are out there anymore?
Right.
Especially of the amount of books they say are the requirements for a pedigree.
And also how at this point in time, how can you verify that they're single owner, right? If we're 80 years
There
removed.
might be some things that, like, if you have some things that are still in the original folded, like, subscription things and stuff like that, like, I'm
Sure. Well,
sure there's
right. Well,
some
right.
evidence.
That I mean for sure. But like,
Yeah,
how could we say that it wasn't, that they weren't assembled, right? Like, or something along those
of
lines.
course. Yeah,
If
of course.
there wasn't you could easily say, I don't know that there's uh, I don't know that that marker is necessary. They didn't say it in here, but you and I have seen there's a designator for a lot of these collections where the owner
Yep.
wrote their last name on the
Or
cover of
he
every
just
one.
wrote WM.
Or,
I've
or
seen
right,
that
or they
over and
wrote
over
initials,
again.
or they
Yeah.
wrote
There's a
like
little
some sort of like
pencil logo where, yeah.
indexing system or
Hmm.
some sort of glyph, right?
Yep.
So there's those things that are, kind of hallmarks.
Yeah.
Um, but the other stuff, once you start getting, like said, 80, 90 years removed, it makes it much more difficult to say definitively, yes, these were collected by one individual.
Well, I'm glad I
Um,
got part of it right. So I knew original owner,
yeah.
and
No,
I
you got
knew,
a lot of it right.
yeah, I just didn't know that it had to be of a certain quality. That's
It is
crazy.
crazy though to think. I mean, look at these grades that we just went over, right? These books are primarily,
Yeah, I know.
are there any Silver Age truly in here? The
Yeah,
Conans are
yeah,
bronze.
the 73s.
Well, they're bronze, aren't they? At 73. Yeah, they're bronze at 73. So uh there's nothing in here that's truly silver.
Well, what's
Well, no, don't, maybe Aquaman 35 would be
that Animal
silver,
Man has got to be silver, no?
and Animal Man's probably silver, but it would be late, right? They'd be like 68 or 69. Because the Jimmy Olsen book is no Jimmy Olsen would be 70 or 69 or 70. So I mean, look how hard it is to get these grades. And then
Yeah, I know.
to have your average be 9.4 is that's pretty awesome actually. So if we think about ASM1 debuts in uh ASM1 debuts in 63, or let's talk about so FF, right? So FF, that means that basically starting from Black Panther through the rest of the run, they would have to be not an average of 9.4 or better. So you means your first Galactus has to be 9.4 or better. Your first Surfer has to be 9.4 or better. Your first Black Panther has to be 9.4 or better. Like that just starts getting really crazy.
So
The
Green Lantern 76 is 70, 1970. And that's the first Bronze Age.
right.
Doesn't say what month, but I mean, oh, April. April is 70, and that's
Yeah.
considered the first bronze book.
Yeah, so I guess there would be several that are here, but ASM 121's not. None of those Conans are. Um, I guess the rest of them would probably be considered silver.
Yeah, you
Oh,
got some silver in there.
yeah. Green Lantern 59 is obviously just barely silver.
Yeah,
Um,
but silver.
yeah, yeah, but silver. Yeah, so half and half. But I don't have a single 9.4.
No, not 9.4s though.
So
That's
the
crazy,
aggregate
man.
of this, throwing out the 9.2 and the 3.5, you're looking at an average of like a 7.0 at this
That's
lot, right? You
insane.
got you got 2.85s, a 9.0, but you have 2.55s, 2.65s, and a 7.0. So your average is probably about 6 or 7.5
Isn't that
of this
crazy?
group, you know.
You're not even close, pal.
Not even close.
No, the Jason Huber
Well, I'm like the
pedigree.
55th owner of some of these books.
Yeah,
Although
exactly. No, you're actually the second owner
the
on a
second
lot of
owner
those
of a bunch of
books.
those
Yeah.
books, yeah. So
Yep.
if those books had been higher grade from him, it still would have been
I
a
mean,
pedigree because it was 570 or so, 587 books. But
we'll let them figure that out.
yeah, let them figure that out, right? But it would have cost me a lot more than it did,
Yeah.
and I would have made a lot more too. So, all right, bro. Well,
Yeah, man.
thanks for going over those with me.
Definitely. We'll figure
You
out
need
how
to
to
let
get
me
them
know
to you.
what I owe you actually for the grading. So, when you can get me that total,
Didn't
uh,
you pay me for it already?
I paid you for
Oh,
the
oh.
first ones. Yeah. So, yeah, you hadn't gotten billed for these ones yet. So,
No, yeah, you're right. I can tell you right now.
God, made
I'll
us
text
that
it
way,
to
we'd
you.
all be pissing in our face.
I know.
Wouldn't be here if you didn't.
Yeah, why didn't they let's see. Download submission detail. I should give you my login so you can get the graders notes.
Oh yeah. Well, once I scan them, I have them, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Date stamp back cover for the Green Lantern 40. Finger bends on cover. Well, you know where that came from. Wasn't me.
Yeah,
Do you
CGC.
know how I hold my comics? Like this in the middle of the top.
Yeah. I also hold them like this.
Yeah. You know how finger bends on the cover happen? Because these fucking CGC guys don't know how to hold comic books.
Manhandle.
It's unbelievable. Very
Yeah.
light cover tanning. We knew that. Wear all corners of cover. Wear all edges of cover. All right.
That's the Green Lantern 40.
40.
Yeah.
Finger bends on cover.
Yeah. See,
Finger
we
bends
really
on
shouldn't
cover.
have any finger bends on
There
cover.
should not be a single, because I literally take it off the press and I don't touch the spine at all.
Well, right. And if a finger bend is as a result of of handling, right? So like we knew there are spine ticks, there's compounded corner creases, there's like well, I don't think any of these had chunks or any pieces missing other than maybe ASM 121. But like,
Every single book has stress lines on the cover, spine, creasing on cover, spine stress lines to cover. There's no way light spine stress lines to cover. This is the kind of stuff that annoys the crap out of me. Very
yeah.
light spine stress lines to cover. This was on your Conan, the 9.0. 9.2. Light spine stress lines on the cover. That
Are
ain't
they,
me.
are they talking about ticks or what are they talking about?
It must
And
be.
to get a 9.2, we're talking about like 6 or 7 ticks, right? Like to get a 9.0, we're talking about 8 or 9 ticks, like visible defects, and they just don't have them. Yeah, those I guess kind of annoy me just from the fact that like you said, you could crack it, press it, clean it, and submit it, and probably get a better grade. I could see you getting the same grade too, but at least. So wait, are those the only notes in the Conan books? The light?
There's a couple more. Number 23, light spine stress lines to cover light staple tears. Well, that you can't do anything about that. Very light cover tanning, very light spine stress lines to cover, and that is the 24. So that's her on the cover.
which I do not believe. The cover is brown. The cover is like off-white. That's
Yeah.
what the cover is.
And Conan the Barbarian, this is the Elric.
Yeah.
Light crease, right top of front cover. I mean, if it's color break, I couldn't do anything about that.
Yeah.
And light spine stress lines to cover.
Light spine
Let's go right
stress.
to, so brittleness, chipping cover, creasing to cover, spine splits to cover, spine stress lines to cover. I mean, the Gwen Stacy had issues.
Yeah. What they said brittleness to cover though?
Yeah,
A little
I
bit.
mean, it was. Green Lantern 59 is the Guy Gardner.
Yeah. We knew there was like a couple of like actual creases.
Light cover tanning, light foxing to cover, spine stress lines to cover, very light water stain interior.
I don't know about that. It's,
Must have been somebody else's 59.
Yeah, because remember there being like a crease on a corner of that book. They don't denote that, but they say about water stain.
Let's see, CGC. Usually they send it to me. CGC shipping summary. That's just the shipping summary.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the totals on all these and kind of see where I'm at. So I think it was probably about a I don't know. I think it was probably somewhere between the 2,500 and $3,000 submission because it looks like the Elric is the cheapest of them. Most are in that.
Did they not send me a?
Actually, I didn't look up what the I didn't see what the FMV is for the Strange Adventures. I have a feeling that's probably a cheap one too. It's really funny,
Oh,
Dolph.
it's 320,
320. Okay.
right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. Oh, does it say $10 for the one and 320 for the other? $10? That's all that one was? No, that's not right. Payment 10.
Dolph, I have the unfortunate luck of two of these books are actually three of these books are the low outlier in between much higher priced
Of course.
FMVs.
Of course.
So the Animal Man at a 5.5 is the outlier. The last five, the FMV 5.0 is 262. The FMV 6.0 is 350, but somehow the FMV 5.5 is 192 because of a recent sale. The Green Lantern 40 is similar. The FMV is 7.5 is like 380, but the last sale of a 7.0 was like 199. And then the Elric book is the same. But yeah, I mean some of these are actually a lot more valuable than I thought they were. And to be perfectly honest, those two Conans are worth what I paid for the whole collection.
Yeah.
And I have the other eight really clean Conans from that run, and then I had tons of other books, like tons of stuff I've already moved from that collection. So that one, um, I would say the only collections that I've regretted in any capacity are ones that I've already told you, where I was like desperate, and so I paid $150 for something I shouldn't have bought in the first place, and then I have to get rid of, $100 books,
Yeah.
and with a couple of $10 books or whatever. So those are the things I will not do again.
So it's 320 for the grading, $5 for the handling, 25 for the shipping. So it's 350.
350.
And that is that.
Right. Say that's that. they're like a bank, aren't they? They're
Okay,
like, oh,
man.
gonna
Seriously.
get you for this. We're gonna get you for that.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
oh, and also, by the way, we're gonna get you for this.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Don't forget about this.
I made the one mistake with my submission where I did the shipping to them through them, which is double the price.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it was like $40 to ship it to them, where I could
Right,
have just done it through work for like
right.
22 bucks.
Yeah, well, we talked about this before because like the first time we were looking at sending some, you told me what the shipping was on their thing, and it was like it does not cost that much money to ship to Florida. Like nowhere near that, especially because it's going commercial to commercial.
I can even USPS registered mail is not as much as they charge you for FedEx.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy. It's like, no, I'm not doing that. Fool me
All right, bro.
once. All right, brother.
Good chat.
Yeah, man. Good chat, and we'll do
Thanks
this
everybody
again
for
on
joining
Thursday
us.
if we can get Crumbs and Jimmy.
Yeah, let's thanks everybody for joining us. It was
Yeah,
a
man.
nice lot of chit chat today. Must be
Good
a
chit chat.
30 more. We gotta get we gotta get Faust again in
I
the
know. We gotta hit him up. Where are you at for Faust?
where you at? We have to probably be consistent though too.
That helps.
You know. So all right, everybody. Well, thanks so much for joining.
Later,
Thanks
Chris.
for
Later, Joe.
watching everything. Thanks for being with us to do the
The
unboxing.
unboxing. Goodbye.
All right.
Later.
Peace.
Bye.